G'day mateys and welcome back to my hobby room. Now I've got the cap on, so it means it's something nautical, yes, and I'm going to do a review of an Airfix kit. Now it's not the Revel kit that came out a few years ago. What Bask? That wasn't real, that was a meme? Oh, okay. That explained all the water. Yeah, no, the kit I'm going to do is actually the Airfix kit with the same name, but it was a much earlier ship, a Moskva, right? There's no A in it, so it's Moskva, okay? And this was the Russian Navy's first helicopter sort of ship, right? First helicopter transport. So they didn't call it really a guided missile cruise, although it is. It's got bloody tons of missiles and rockets and things and anti-submarine bloody torpedo, you name it. It's got all of that. It was very modern for its time for the Russian Navy. And Airfix brought out a kit in 1973, which is 50 years ago to the day. Yes, they did. And it was only out for a while, and then they kind of reboxed it in 76, and and then it sort of disappeared, and no one was really that interested, I suppose, until the actual ship got decommissioned, right, and scrapped in 96, right, 1996 for you guys that don't know there was actually a millennials who don't know there was a millennium before the 21st century. Yeah, anyhow, enough of that. So anyhow, yes, Airfix brought it out. That's the kit I've got. I haven't got the original white box. Normally I try and show a white box. This box is white, but it's the 96 version, which is still nearly 30 years old. So let's face it, that's still quite a good kit to look at, especially for classic sort of Airfix. So does that sound interesting? I hope so. Let's get on with it. Roll the music. So it's quite a big box. Won't quite fit in the camera here, but you get that. Although the ship is only about that long. We'll get to that in a sec. And according to scale, mates, see, that's the one that I've got. We are looking at the 96, and there's no real sort of timeline or date stamps that I've found so far. We might look at the kit, but it does say Hella of France, so that's the moulding, which is about that 80s to 90s period. So that's always a worry with the plastic with Airfix. It's not my favourite plastic, but we'll see. First came out in 73. That would have been really nice to have the 73 kit with the original plastic. Keel was laid down in early 60s, 62, and then she was commissioned and basically active service from the mid-60s. They say 69. I don't know, there's a few different things I've read. But anyhow, she was definitely in service here from 67, according to this, all the way up to 1996, yeah. And then the Airfix kit that I've got, I believe, came out then, basically when they decommissioned her and scrapped her. So they went, better get this out. Everyone's getting excited about the ship that's getting pulled apart. So that's it, Never miss a marketing opportunity. All right, so you can. I think Airfix instructions tell us all this, but she's 189 metres long, which is about the size of a World War I battleship. So she's not huge, but she's a good size. Steam turbines, all this sort of thing. Had propellers, yeah, okay. She could do 28.5 knots. Pretty good for the time. What else we got? 850 complement. That's quite a few sailors on there. I know all the big, aircraft carriers or in the Yanks have got and everything, big nuclear ones. They're huge now. They're like cities on wheels. Well, not on wheels, but cities on water. You know what I mean? But in its day, this was sort of a big thing. This was a huge thing. Okay. Now, the interesting part is armament is really, at this period, most of the ships got turrets. Okay, we still got that thing. Guided missile cruisers are only just coming in, so this was like a big space age sort of ship when it came out, and it's surface-to-air missiles and FRAS anti-submarine missiles and rockets and torpedo tubes and rocket launchers and for decoy. All this sort of stuff was kind of like wow. So it was quite an event in its day. I mean, now it's all sort of passé, but in its day that was it. And they called it, as I have up here, it is a helicopter carrier, right? Now, it had a sister ship, the Leningrad, I believe. Yep. And there was also going to be a Kiev, but they decided in 69 to cancel building that. So they only had Moskva and Leningrad. Those were the two. So, yeah, pretty interesting ship for its day. And so when the kit came out, I remember, because this kit came out in the early 70s, and I went, it's kind of interesting. Wasn't my thing, though. I mean, I was building battleships from, World War II, and then I was really getting into all the sailing ship kits. So I never built this. So when it turned up for sale on a online sort of auction site, I went, that sounds good. And I found some extras for it. So let's have a look inside the box. said, the side of it here did say, everything's upside down, Miss Pat. It does say here Hella. So you probably can't read that, but it's got Hella on there. Humbrol products. So it's that sort of Hella Humbrol sort of period when they were just transitioning over. Sometimes the plastic's okay. Sometimes it's absolutely woeful. We shall see. Instructions, we'll have a good look at those in a sec. They're sort of interesting in that I have a copy of the old 1972 instructions, and they're very different to this. I kind of modernised it a bit. And this has got like 17 steps. The original one only had 9. This is what I got extra. I found this. White Ensign did a complete PE set. So that's given me the railings, the radar dishes, the cranes, all that sort of stuff. And that'll just lift the model and, make it look that bit nicer. What have we got here? Flash service. Oh, okay. So you fill this out, someone comes around to your place and they flash you. Thanks, Airfix. That's really nice. Look at the parts. They're getting into slightly boxed in sort of trees at this period. Okay, so from the 70s onwards, it isn't just all the open suicide sprues with everything falling off. They're starting to do these sort of hexagonal shaped sprues, and they're kind of getting into, and even here, you actually do have stuff in a frame. And that was new for Airfix, because prior to that, all the stuff was just like one long sprue, everything hanging off it. By the time you open the box, everything had fallen off. So it's not really that big. I mean, when you have a look at the box, there's about another half ship could fit in the box. So it's a big box for a what is not actually a huge ship by any sense. So there you go. It looks reasonably clean. We'll have a good look at the parts as we go through. Something's fallen out there. We'll find that. Actually, I'm quite surprised at how nice this plastic looks. We'll get in detail in a sec. And it looks like here, these are all the decals, right? Decals for the areas where the helicopters land, that sort of thing. Little trampolines there. So basically, when the Russians were a bit bored and they'd get on the vodka a bit, they'd go and have a big trampoline session. They'd all go topless and have a huge No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Okay, well, what we need to do now is get all this out, sort this out, have all the instructions, and then we can sort of figure out what the parts are. But I think it's about 300 parts in it. It's quite a good kit. So here we have all the parts laid out, and it is a much more modern kit than some of these old ships I've been showing you from the 60s and early 70s, which were very different moulding. So this is basically how Airfix started to transition and put things in proper cradles and frames and what have you, and it's quite good. I'm very suspicious of this plastic. I think it actually is 70s plastic, and I think maybe they had a whole lot that was spat out, and then they just had them sitting there because it wasn't selling, and so they just left them there. And then they decided in '96, because it's topical at the time, because the Moskva was being basically decommissioned and pulled to bits, they basically gave it a new snappy box and put the old plastic in, because this feels so much like 70s plastic. I really like it. So it's not that horrible Hella plastic, which I do not like. This is quite crisp and it's quite sharp. That was the missing part from here, so I have all the parts. I have a complete kit. So there you go. So if we have a look at the instructions, and as I said, I had looked through. I could do a comparison, but it'd probably be boring to show you. But the original Airfix kit has 9 steps, and this one has 17. So they redid the instructions. They did that, made them more modern. So and they did a much better drawing at the back here for painting. It's a much better diagram. So, there is that. But if you want to look online and have a look at the old instructions, you can have a bit of a chuckle. So it's very, very old Airfix. So usual sort of Airfix stuff, sort of do's and don'ts sort of stuff, going into that. Step 1, we're putting the hull together and we're putting in the bulkheads and some block off little panels here. Obviously the side bits here where, basically like on a cruise ship, little holes here and everything, and you can go in there and you can have sort of alfresco dining. I don't know what they did, but it'd be something. They probably would launch little, because it's close to the waterline, they may be sort of launching, pursuit class or landing craft on there. Because this thing could also probably garrison a platoon or whatever you call it, and basically for assaults on beaches, that sort of thing. You probably know more than me. And figure out what the right words are and let me know, because my mouth's just full of tentacles at the moment. I'm seeing a very clean kit. That's one thing that I'm really liking about this. Very clean kit, which is great. I mean, even things like the cranes, they're looking very, very nice. So, you know, you build it out of the box, it'd be lovely. But I've got that PE, how much would I use? I don't know. Alright, so going on to step 2, you would start to put on all the bits and pieces for the aft section there. And you've got another little bulkhead. Well, that's actually 13. That's another bulkhead. Yeah, you've got lots of little bulkheads. That's good. That's quite good thinking. So, Airfix, you didn't used to have that in a lot of the early ships. Screws, props, that sort of thing. So that's the foredeck. And they're all sort of painted a rusty sort of red colour. So, you know, all the sort of colours were different. This thing was so alien to what we're used to. So you don't really sort of see much on there because it's all, you know, missiles and rockets and things. It's, there's only like about 2 actual sort of guns on the whole ship, as far as I can tell. The superstructure, yeah, that was kind of futuristic for its time as well. Sort of a very, very sort of modern sort of looking futuristic superstructure with, probably best we show you that on the on here, with the funnel sort of all built in and the whole thing very rakish, you know. It basically looked like something that had come out of, you know, one of the Doctor Who sort of sci-fis. It was fascinating for its days. So let's have a look through. There's looks like little boats and things and widgets. Who knows? Have a look. You can make up names. Call them whatever you like. That's what I've been doing. I mean, even the little sort of radar dish here, it's in reasonable nick, if I can get it in the right light. It's reasonable. All the holes are there, so you haven't got any flash to deal with or anything, you know. Quite good. And look at all this. These are just all the tiny parts. And it's a very clean bit of moulding, which is why I believe it's not Hella plastic. This is more like Airfix plastic from the 70s. So that's the thing. So there you go. There's quite a bit there. I can't really talk much about this. I don't know that much about modern ships, so it's all sort of Greek to me. So there's the cranes, which so I've got PE if I want to use it. Here you got rigging things on the foredeck, and really you've got missile launchers and rocket launchers and just things that I just don't understand. It's all new to me. And then these, I think this is part of the sonar system or something, or it could be armor. I don't know. I can't tell what is sort of some sort of radar sonar sort of system and what is actual guns in it, or or rockets. It was such a thing. I mean, look at this. It looks like some sort of laser beams or stuff. Of course, it isn't. They didn't have laser beams. And you got little helicopters. So you got little helicopters put on there. That's what that is. At least I can recognise that. Sort of helicopter you can build up. Go on there. I don't know which kind they are, but you can look that up. So what have we got here? This is all kind of floppy and falling to bits. So here we go. Superstructure goes together. I don't put in the radar. We do all of that, and then you get to there. So there's quite a bit to do, and I'm sort of can't really go to much detail because I don't know what things are because it's a modern ship. But those of you that are sort of into this sort of thing, you might find that very interesting. And you can see there's just lots and lots of little bits, lots of greebles. It's really a greebly type ship. Yep. And so there you go. All right, so that's sort of a very basic look at the plastic. But as you said, it's quite nice, very clean, very clean. There you go, I've done a bit of a mock-up of the major parts there, as you saw, just to give you an idea sort of the size of this thing. Here's my hobby knife. So it's not huge. It's not huge by any means, but it's sort of a nice size kit. 1/600 scale as Airfix did in this period. Basically all their sort of, these sort of ships were. And look, it fits together reasonably well. Stuff falling off, they just dry fit. The only major problem is at the stern here, these pieces are all sort of warped. They're supposed to bend around there, and obviously they're not. They're not doing very well at all. So you'd be able to clamp that and glue it and probably get it all to go together. I've had to put this thing on to try and hold that part of the hull. Whether the hull's warped or just the tabs at the end are, who knows? But I mean, it's been sitting around for, donkey's years, at least 30 years. And if my suspicions are correct, the plastic could have been sitting around for nearly half a century. It's quite a pretty little ship, really. You know, it's got a nice little profile, and it'll paint up beautifully. I mean, I think you sort of use a bit of a dark green at the back there. This is sort of a rustic red, and then you've got all the greys of the superstructure, and then you'll have all the interesting sort of guided missiles, and launchers and rockets and things. So it's going to be a lot of fun to build, and it's a very interesting subject, something that's very different to what I normally build. So it'll be a little while, but this is sort of a little project that I'll sort of sneak in somewhere in the next few years. So if you want to see me build this, let me know. I think it's kind of fascinating. And at least this one hasn't sunk. So there you have it. That's the kit. And that was quite interesting, wasn't it? Well, I thought so, yes. Very interesting Russian ship, not sunk and underwater. No, none of that. All right, well, look, if you made it this far, fantastic. That's really good. And as usual, there's buttons to push. There's always buttons. My whole life is full of buttons. There's buttons here. There's microwaves to push and TVs to push and computers to push. Buttons everywhere. I'd like you to push my buttons. Yes. And if you really can, buy me a curry. That'd be fantastic. Anyhow, there's more ships to come, and there's a Stingray next week, and there's all kinds of things going on in my channel, so hang in there. There's lots more to watch, so I hope you look forward to that, as I will. So it's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini. Let's put that Moskva down. Put the Moskva down. No, it's not a Kiev. No, put it down. It's not something you can eat.